problems with peer-to-peer lending in China. The way it works is this. You give money to a lender who loans it to others, and then you make money on the interest. But, as Matt Rivers tells us, many P2P loans in China have not been repaid, and thousands there have lost their life savings.
These are some of the victims being treated like criminals by the government that they say failed them. China is in the middle of a widening P2P lending crisis, and protests erupted in Beijing this week. They were met by an overwhelming police response. Look at this woman, prone, being dragged into a cop car. Another scene here, hauled towards a bus. This is how China deals with public protest. This man spoke to CNN, and we agreed to protect his identity. He could face government retribution for speaking to us. He invested about $40,000, his and his parents' entire savings, in a P2P company called Toronja. He thought it was safe. In China, the law only protects a small group of people, he says, not us, the masses. In early July, the company collapsed. His family's savings were gone, and there was nothing he could do. The company's website says the chairman disappeared. Police opened an investigation and have detained 13 people, but says nothing about paying anyone back. He says, I fear that my family will learn this. My parents would be suicidal if they knew, so only me and my wife know for now. 4,470 P2P firms have collapsed since 2012, according to Wang Daijia, a respected industry analysis firm. The firm says nearly 1.2 million people lost their investments, worth about $11.5 billion in all. The People's Bank of China said they would crack down on bad lenders and, quote, comfort the investors. We don't know what that means, and the PBOC didn't reply to our request for comment. But for many, that wasn't good enough, hence the protests. They tried to take their case here to the country's banking regulator, but the government didn't let them get that far. Most of the protesters were rounded up in the streets or on the subways. One person gave CNN video that he says shows police showing up at one would-be protester's house and not even allowing him to leave. Most of the protests planned for outside this building were coordinated on WeChat, a messaging app that experts say the government monitors in real time, though Beijing denies that. And yet all signs point to the government knowing that these protests were going to happen beforehand. The massive police response shows you how far Beijing is willing to go to stamp out dissent. Another victim who lost about $200,000 told CNN the protests will likely continue. We need to fight for our rights, he says. My life is ruined. Now I'm like a financial refugee. So despite the threats of jail or detention, it seems that people who've already lost everything have little left to lose. And now, Christy, you're probably asking, well, why did all of these people choose to invest their savings this way? And part of the reason is that the government here actually encouraged them to do it. So take a look at these photos. The P2P company we just told you about, called Toronja, was actually a favorite of local and national government. Officials toured their offices and even attended fancy banquets like this one. The government essentially promoted this company. People truly thought that this was legit. And now the same government that told them to invest this way is essentially leaving them out in the cold.